All right, Amy, I'm so glad that you're with us today. I know that you're going to be such an inspiration to so many people who are on the fence of investing or who are already investing. So tell me about how you came upon our community and how long you've been with us and all the great things that you've been doing.
Yeah, thanks, Dina. I'm happy to be here. Um, yeah, I think I'm not even sure how long I've been with the community now. It's been a few years, I think. Originally, I started going to the meetup groups in Washington. And then, as COVID hit, then we started doing the online things and then eventually kind of moved into the inner circle in the last few months here, about 6 months ago, I think, or something like that. So,
Yeah, you've done a lot in the last 6 months, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah, so from what I understand, you lived here in Washington and you wanted to invest so badly that you knew with the cost of living here in Washington State, it was going to make it difficult for you and your husband. And you wanted it so passionately that you decided to find a lower cost of living area so that you could save some money. And you seeked out one of our referral agents to find you a primary in Minnesota. And you actually ended up with higher incomes in Minnesota too, correct?
Yeah, and we kept our same jobs, but it was just over the last year or so, I've kind of moved around to different jobs. I was able to increase my income, and my husband kept his job. So when we moved, then we had had our Washington incomes, but we're able to move to Minnesota. And we bought our primary home. We decided to purchase that, and we did that completely remote with the help of our agent Mike Swenson, and then proceeded to buy a couple of investment properties as well. But yeah, we found that our with the amount that we were paying to live in Washington, it was just really expensive. We wanted to really make our dollar go further. And while Minnesota wasn't the cheapest option out there, it still, I think, gave us a really good quality of life, and is a good place to invest, a nice cash flow state. So we wanted to be able to invest locally, but also decrease our cost of living. Eventually, we'll invest in other states as well, but Minnesota was our first choice.
That's awesome. And tell me about so you've gone under contract now on two duplexes or closed on two duplexes in 6 months in Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And one of them you didn't see. So it was sight unseen.
Yeah. For our first one, is in St. Cloud, so it's only 8 minutes away from us. So we did see that one for our first rental. But we looked at several properties, and that one we saw because we were looking to make an offer. And otherwise, Mike has been really good about, if we are interested in a property and we don't have time to go see it, then he'll go and do some videos and upload them to just Dropbox for us. And then we go through, look at the videos, and he kind of does his commentary as he walks through. So that's been really helpful. So then we can have been able to look at properties that way. And so we're still we're not necessarily on site for those purchases, or we're only there for a portion of it. For a second duplex, we purchased that one in Minneapolis, and because it was further away from us, about an hour and a half, we had Mike walk through that one for us, and we didn't walk through it until the day of closing, when we went to sign our paperwork, and we decided to do the final walkthrough with Mike.
So really, that's very similar to buying as if you were out of state.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel about the process of being able to connect with an agent in the first place, and then an investor savvy agent to help you build your rental portfolio? And I'm asking this because I know you've been involved with our community for a while before you started to invest. And I know in general that that's a fear of everybody's, of having somebody that they can trust working for them, whether they're an hour and a half away from the property or out of state. So how has that been for you?
It's been really good. I did, when I put in a request through Addicted ROI to get a few agents, I interviewed them to kind of see who I would work best with, and to see, what their rental portfolios were like. And, and Mike kind of he was just really awesome to work with and invests himself. So, in going through all of the rental properties, he was really able to provide additional insight, which was helpful, especially as a new investor, knowing that we were going in with someone who had already made purchases as an investor and was doing all of that. It's just really, it provides a lot of confidence for me to go forward with the process, knowing that every time I have a question, he has the answer, he can get that for us. It was really nice to have an investor savvy agent, especially Mike. So was just made the process so much easier, knowing that we didn't have to worry about a lot of things just because we had someone to back us up.
That's great to hear, because that's what we set out to do through the ROI Inner Circle, is to make that connection for people that are looking to invest, whether it be in state or out of state, but to somebody that is an experienced investor agent and somebody that can understand the value of building a relationship, knowing that you're going to probably purchase more properties from them.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm really glad that worked out great for you. And then tell me about we've talked before and you've talked about dreaming. Now you look back and you say, gosh, I've dreamed too small.
Yeah. I think that when we originally started out, I thought that it was, we anticipated, okay, when we start investing, we're going to purchase one property a year. And so then we started, and then we had the money to purchase more than one property. So we're like, all right, well, let's just, because we sold our property in Marysville, Washington, and use the money to then basically buy 3 properties and traded out one house for 3. So, so we, decided we were going to take that money and just buy another one. And, we're looking to just, right now we're trying to stabilize the 2 that we have, and then we'll probably go buy another one. But we're thinking, okay, well, we've kind of got our feet wet. We're pretty confident in the duplex buying process. So it's like, all right, well, if, I'm always a person who likes a challenge and I like to grow personally. And so I'm like, all right, well, to really, I feel like grow as a person or grow as an investor, that it requires you to constantly step outside of your comfort zone. So I'm like, all right, well, duplex, we're in a comfort zone now. So let's expand beyond a duplex and see what else we can do. And we, never thought, had never considered commercial investing or anything like that. But there's actually a 5-plex that came up near us, and Mike was like, hey, you might be interested in this. And we looked at it and ended up not getting it, just because in the due diligence, we found that it was a multifamily property, but it was on a single family lot, and it was only rented out as that if they had a valid rental license, which they found out it expired back in September. So now that property has to be converted to a single family home. But in the process, we're like, oh, well, maybe we could do commercial investing, because we were also then going through the accelerator with Jennifer for the commercial properties. And so I feel like the more experience we have and the more information we have, the more confident we are to do things I never thought we could do. And so I've kind of now saying never say never.
I love it.
It's like, all right, well, I wasn't comfortable doing this before, but now I've reached a comfort level that I didn't think I would have. And so why not go bigger? If we can, because we're doing the early retirement thing, and it's like, all right, well, if we can get there faster, why not?
Right. I love it. There's really no end to the type of growth we can have in real estate investing, right? Because there's so many different veins to it. So I love that you started with one thinking process, and now the door is open and there's no really close-ended process for you. I absolutely love that. And how valuable is it as a member to have the accelerator coaching calls with Jennifer, where she focuses on a specific topic? So the last one, is this the one you're referring to, where she was talking about scaling with multifamily?
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's been just, it's it's so valuable because it's not like I'm going through a course where I don't have access to the people who are running the course. And with, Addicted to ROI, I can ask questions, and we do things live, and there's the forums, and
Right.
it's so it's or like reading a book. You can read books, but they only go so far, and there's specific circumstances that aren't necessarily covered as much. And so when it gets into, all right, you have your basic information, but now you're actually making the purchase, and there are always very specific things that come up, and you're like, well, where the heck do I get the answer for this? This wasn't covered in the training. So being able to go and find people um, in the community that have had that experience or can at least point you in the right direction, it's so helpful knowing that when you're making a purchase, you're never going to know everything. Weird things are going to come up, and being able to have a group where I can confidently go and know I can find the answers if we run up against a wall. It's so valuable for me knowing that I can scale kind of without the fear of the unknown, because while there's certainly a lot of things I don't know and I learn new things every day, I know where to find the answers when there is something I don't know, and I have a community to lean on, which is so
I was going to ask you how valuable the community was to you, and being able to go into the community forum and ask your questions. And one thing I love about investors is we're all excited about what we're doing.
yeah.
And so we're excited to share it. And it does seem, I don't know if this is the same for you, but it does seem like it's difficult to discuss some of these things with our family or peers because they don't always understand what we're talking about, or our bigger picture. But some like-minded other investors really do get it. And
Yeah.
it's easy to talk to them, and there's no dumb question, right? Any questions that come in through the forum, I love that the investors are happy to help out and answer those questions and help in any way that they can. Very, very, very generous, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that the community, you feel the support from the community. That's very
Mhm.
important to us, of course, as well. And then, what else would you like to say? I mean, I know that you're on a fast pace right now. It seems 2 duplexes in 6 months. You're obviously considering a larger unit right now. What do you think? What do you see for you guys for the next year?
I think for this year, we're probably gonna maybe close out with one more property. But I say that, and I, could change my mind later. I reserve the right to do so.
Yep.
But yeah, right now, we've just got some things that have come up with repairs and things on our duplexes. So we want to make sure that we're kind of sound on those and have good cash flow going before we dive into another property. And I think while we had our kind of strategy of purchasing 1 to 4 units, I think we're still in the learning process of saying, all right, well, how can we partner with people and kind of maybe go bigger on our next one? So yeah, the next few months I think are just kind of learning and stabilizing, and then maybe in the fall I think we're looking at purchasing another one, and for next year, I don't know. It's wide open yet. We'll see what this next property brings. And it seems like any plans that I make end up not going as planned, but that's because they exceed all my expectations and my plans. And so it's been a journey.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. It's always exciting, anything new and the challenges that come along with it.
Yeah.
And I love that you love that. Some people really have a difficult time with that, and that's where community really can step into. But I love that that's something you thrive on. I'm the same way. I like that. So, what advice would you give to somebody that might be considering investing out of state, or working with a team that's not local to them, or that has fears about maybe, obviously the interest rates right now are not scaring you, and they shouldn't be scaring anybody, but some people do have those fears. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say for communicating with an out of state team, I've gotten, so my agent Mike Svensson has been able to give me referrals for property managers and all of that. So it's been really helpful in building my team, and so now I feel like I have a group of people that I can rely on, and and Mike's always doing the work to try, and if we're like saying, all right, well maybe we can invest here, and always trying to work to find solutions there. And I think that other agents are probably that way as well, where, if you don't know the answer to something, or you're looking for somebody to fill a role on your team out of state, that those agents most likely, we're chosen by your team because they have those connections.
Right.
So like if you need something, ask them and they're probably going to be happy to help you. And I try not to push that too far and try to do as much of the work as I can. But, and as far as, investing, I think that at least for myself, I find I make a lot of excuses when I have a lot of fear around something. And
Mhm.
if it's not one excuse is another, and it comes in all different forms. But I think for myself, I always feel like I have to have everything buttoned up. I have to know all the answers and before I can proceed with anything. And I'm just learning more now that you're never going to know everything, and you should just start because otherwise you could lose out on years of investing. And for me, the interest rates, I see it as when you're investing in the stock market, right? It's like, all right, well, I'm going to put in $1,000 every month, and I just know that that's going to balance out over time. And so it's like, all right, we may get some, it's dollar cost averaging for me. The interest rates, it's like, all right, well, they may go up, they may go down, but if we don't go in at all, we lose that opportunity. So, I'd rather have some of something than, nothing. So,
100%. I love that. Right. And if the numbers work, it works, right?
yep, yep,
Real estate investing is always a good time. There's always a good time to buy real estate.
yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I love that. Okay, Amy, anything else you want to talk about? How's your art studio going?
Right
I
now,
know
I'm just
that's a passion.
It is a passion, yeah, and I'm hoping to make that into a viable business in the future. It's a work in progress right now, just with work and managing these real estate properties. But I think in the next couple months here, I do have a shop that's up and running. It's just not what I'd like it to be at this point, but I've got definitely big plans for that I'll be implementing in the next few months, and hopefully have another stream of income. And I'm just going to push that all into real estate. So.
That's awesome. And that's part of your why, I presume, so that you could do something that you're fully passionate about whenever you
Yeah.
want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love doing real estate, but art I think kind of trumps everything, and ultimately we're doing real estate so that eventually I can do art full time, and have just more time to spend with family and help them out as well.
And do everything that you love, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Well, Amy, I'm so glad that you came on. Like I said in the beginning, I think you are an inspiration to many people
thank you.
with what you've done. I mean, you guys are taking some crazy action, and it shows clearly that you guys are passionate about creating the life that you design. So
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. And for those of you that might be watching that don't know, we do have an out-of-state investing consultation call every Wednesday. I'll post it in the Facebook group on Monday. So if anybody wants to join us, feel free to join us. And Amy, thank you again so much for your time. And I'll look forward to seeing the next deal you go under contract on or information about it beforehand.
Yeah, thanks, Dina.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.